Okay, we've now heard the panelists' opinions and expectations of OIST. Now we'd like to turn to the audience and answer any questions or listen to any opinions that you may have.
Please use microphone. And could you suggest the name of the institution?
Sure. Ganesh Kishore, CEO of Malaysian Life Sciences Capital Fund. I have a question for the panel. If you were to define success for the next 5 and 10-year time frames for the Okinawa region, and I won't frame it for OIST because I don't know enough about OIST to make that statement. But if you were to define success for the region, what would that success look like, and what role can OIST play in terms of delivering on that success?
Thank you very much. Let's ask Mr. Tyra for his response. What can define success for the region with regards to cluster formation? This is actually a very difficult question. I believe a big theme is how the industrial structure can be taken in an improved direction. Another is having a large number of venture businesses developing here, and also having Okinawa's economy, including the unemployment rate, improve on the whole. These are all things that I've considered in my vision. Also, solidifying an independent economy. In other words, the current state is basically what I mentioned in my presentation, that while a majority of the economy is not relying on the national government, a significant portion still is. And the same goes with the U.S. military bases. Although the percentage is decreasing, Okinawa is still reliant on the 150 billion yen it produces. So, how can we take these existing conditions and turn them into a more self-reliant and independent economy? That's the larger theme here, and this is the vision for the future. But as for the specifics, honestly, this is a difficult question for me to answer. Okay, let's go on to Dr. Kitano and then to Ms. Julie. I have a very simple answer. A Naha-Singapore direct flight run by Singapore Airlines. It could even be a Naha-Dubai flight by the Emirates. And why I say that, of course, is because without business here, these direct flights would not exist. I think that the 5 to 10 year success should be defined as these entrepreneurs and investors considering Okinawa as an option. Not saying that they'll all choose to come here, but that Okinawa is high enough on the list to even merit consideration. The reality is that currently Okinawa is not high on that list at all. It might happen that a person with a lot of connections may try to start a venture business here, but for people starting with a blank slate, Okinawa does not come up on their list. So at the minimum, for Okinawa to merit that consideration is the first step.
I'm sitting here trying to imagine the Singapore Airlines, Southwest Airlines competition. I think in 5 years, what would be reasonable to expect is a very tight core team at OIST, by then an accredited university, some early breakthroughs that garner international attention, and probably some sort of framework, as was done in Singapore, as was done in Israel, that leverages public and private investment in a way that will attract. You know, U.S. venture capitalists, if they're not just sitting on their money, they're increasingly looking internationally for investment opportunities. So that is also an opportunity for Okinawa. But if Okinawa has what we would call skin in the game with respect to making investments in early stage companies, I think it might do a lot to attract investment from abroad, and especially if those industry sectors, because I'm not quite clear. I've heard several areas of focus for the research at OIST, and I think that's probably going to evolve over time. But the more clarity it has, and the more that private sector investors see commercial potential, the faster the money will start coming in.
I think in 5 years, let's start first from the OIST. I think in 5 years, you need to be internationally recognized as an institution that is up and coming, and have maybe, in my mind, few areas where you're trying to be the best in the world. And then in 10 years, you'll be recognized at least in one area as being best in the world. I think, as Julie said earlier, that all the venture and the spin-offs and so on will come later to do that. I would suggest that hand in hand with you focusing on being the best in the world in a given area, that you would attract corporate Japan to start R&D centers here that are related to what you plan to do in the future.
I think that on a fundamental level, OIST and Okinawa should have a common goal. If in 5 or 10 years, a person receiving an offer from OIST, rejecting Tokyo University, Kyoto University, Stanford, Harvard, to come to OIST, becoming that kind of institute is one goal. In the 10 or 20-year term, Okinawa becoming known as Japan's Singapore should be the goal, and significant efforts should be made now to attain it.